What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the start of the new season here. Obviously, like we said last time, we got some changes coming. But in the meantime, obviously, one of your co-hosts, Steve, coming at you with...
Oh, now I get to talk? It's me, bitches. The greatest, John.
Oh, okay there, Swizz Beats. Calm your ass down. Anywho, hope everybody's had a great week. I had a pretty decent week. I can't complain too much. John, how was your week?
I can complain a lot.
Well, I mean, we all can complain, but is it worth complaining?
Yes.
Is it going to get you anywhere?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. So, no, what were you saying?
I said it could.
It probably won't. We'll save that for the bullshitting episode. So, obviously, this episode was supposed to be John's true crime, but he obviously dropped the ball. Fuck the pooch. So, we're going to jump up an episode here.
I was working on the episode today at work, finishing it up, and got too excited to go home. Left my notebook and my lunchbox at the place I was at.
Oh, so you got to like paper fucking plastic bag it tomorrow?
No, it's 20 degrees outside. I'll just put my lunch in the van, and then when I get there, I'll just put the lunch in the lunchbox. There.
So anyway, this episode here is going to be a wonderful episode. Actually, it's on on the Cornbread Mafia. So with that, let's hop into it here. So imagine 1980s, and we'll go way before that. Back during like the 1920s, stuff like that. You Kentucky, you would think of like bourbon, you'd think of prohibition, stuff like that. And that's where this started at. The families that are involved with this all have ties running back to prohibition, and that's where this started at. It's where they started to get their networking skills down, I guess is what you would say. But we'll fast forward here to 1987. We're gonna be in Minnesota here. It's getting wintertime. And rather than smuggling alcohol and transporting alcohol, we are now going to be growing, cultivating, selling that glorious marijuana. So where we're at here is 1987. We're in Minnesota. It's getting to be close to wintertime. Frost is starting to hit. And we have this wonderful seed given to us by a supplier known as Mr. X. And this seed comes from Russia. So we grow this seed. Frost hits. Obviously, everybody that knows weather, when frost hits, everything else dies. Everything goes dormant. It dies. Not this. This stayed green. It just took the ice like a champion and ran with it. So imagine you're an illegal marijuana grower. Everything around you is dead, but your greener bud. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, these guys were the biggest homegrown marijuana distribution network in the history of the United States. So that blows the Golden Triangle guys out of the picture. These guys were the shit. So at that level, imagine how much you had growing. Now imagine all the corn you had growing in the fields has died. What are you going to do? You going to freak? Actually, John, what would you do?
If all of my plants died?
No. Your plants survived. All the cover you had around it died.
Let's see. Do I own a lot of land?
This isn't your land.
Am I hiding it in a national park or state
forest? You are not hiding in a national park. You are hiding it in farmland, but it's corn. All the corn has died.
I think you'd be all right for a little bit because the stalks are still going to be there from the corn for a little while, maybe a couple weeks. But I don't know if it's not ready for it to be harvested. I I feel like they camouflage it. Do they spray paint the corn stalks back green?
So what they did is they went into instant shut this the fuck down mode. They harvested every plant they could get their hands on because at this time the DEA was in the air with their whirlybirds, making their circles trying to find this shit. They've been looking for them, and how this started. We're gonna rewind here. These guys, like I said, handled it all from seed to sale. That would be the growing, the cultivating, the processing, all that, trimming, all of it. They handled all of that. This was 70 men across 10 states, okay, from the southeast to the Midwest, 30 farms, okay. This is what so many people need to take a fucking lesson from. None of them, zero, cooperated with the law, which in turn destroys any RICO case, because a RICO case is racketeer influenced continuing criminal organization, something like that. But you have to prove that it's continuing. Nobody talked. They all shut the fuck up and took what they were getting. So with that,
what were they getting? Were they just getting basic like possession charges, or were they getting like?
Oh, dude, they were getting books thrown at them. So the guys that did this: Joe Keith Bickett, Jimmy Bickett, Jimmy Ray Downs, Garland Russell, Bobby Joe Shoemaker, Johnny Boone. He would join the Shoemaker, and Johnny Boone would join later. They had this. So the term Cornbread Mafia was put on them by the prosecutors. They did not call themselves that. They were in layman's terms, they were good old boys. Like
they were farmers.
Yeah, that's how they were farmers. And so Bobby Joe Shoemaker was a Vietnam vet. For those of you that know, I guess that's rock country. Copperhead Road.
Steve Earle.
Yeah, Steve Earle. I'm sorry.
My parents named me after that song. I got the first and middle name.
Okay. Either way. Oh, okay. I got it now. Yeah. Anyhow,
it's not great. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyhow, if you guys listen to that song, he goes through and he talks about he brought back the seeds, or he brought back plants from Vietnam for a brand new enterprise, and he got the seeds from Colombia and Mexico, which are your pot seeds. So Bobby Joe Shoemaker was a Vietnam vet. He obviously brought tricks of the trade. I'm not talking, punji sticks and shit like that where people were dying. No, I'm talking alarms, different ways to see if people are coming, shit like that. So these guys this happened in Raywick, Kentucky, in the counties of Marion, Washington, and Nelson. Those were the three big counties in Kentucky where all this shit went down. This is the crazy part here. They were accused of selling 182 tons of marijuana in 29 farms, 30 farms, in Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, Tennessee, Michigan, Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas. So it started with the original 70 guys. By the end of 1991, more than 100 people were arrested, and they were from Raywick and Lebanon, Kentucky, is where these guys were all from. So in that fall, where we started this at, Johnny Boone, it's when he got arrested. So he did his time in prison in June of 2008. And this is a testament to their, I look at this as I'm a farmer, this isn't a fucking drug. In 2008, he had 2,421 seedlings growing on his farm. This man dipped because that was his third strike law under lovely Bill Clinton. That would have been his third strike law. He doesn't get to pass go. He goes straight to jail. That's it. We don't hear from Johnny Boone ever again. Obviously, he ended up running. He actually ended up on America's Most Wanted for marijuana. And baffles my fucking mind how that's even possible, but it did. He ended up getting caught in Montreal. For that, he served 57 months for him running. He actually died last year, June 14th of 2024. He actually is when he passed away. One of the Bickett brothers did 25 years. Jimmy Bickett, Johnny Boone, and Tommy Lee, they all got 20 years. Bobby Joe Shoemaker got 30 years. So it was, I had to take a drink there. So it was crazy. And I broke this down here. So obviously there's 2,000 pounds in a ton. We'll say they were selling their pounds for $1,000. So right there is, you do the math on that, 2 million. You multiply that by 182, you have $364 million is what they went through. And I think the law had them from 85 to like 89, I think is when it had. So a 4-year span, $364 million.
So you just said in 2008 that he had a couple hundred or something like that amount of plants. Was he, when he got out, he was redoing it?
Yeah.
Wonder if that's still going on.
So I actually looked it up into that. There's 2 different ones that are in that county, and they do hemp. It's CBD. They do that. But it's kind of cool because it's on like the farms they use to grow the actual pot that they did. But what was crazy, and like they the seed supplier they had, his name was Mr. X. That's what Johnny Boone called him. He would actually travel the world and he would collect different cannabis seeds and he'd bring them back and he would grow them there. And what's crazy about it is Kentucky is on, I believe it's the 37th or 34th parallel, one of them two. But like it's perfect for whatever the soil or whatever it is there. It's just perfect. And that's what they did. So Johnny Boone actually, in his younger years, he was raised by his grandfather in 4-H, and he actually won several championships growing tobacco. Like it's crazy. And there's several books out on it. I believe Joe Keith Bickett wrote several books. The book I have on it is a really, really good book. It actually took me several days to listen to it because, well, that's what I got. I listened to him at work. It's called The Cornbread Mafia, and it's by James Higdon. The ones Joe Keith Bickett have out are, there it is. Sorry, everybody. Thought I had all my notes prepared, and apparently I do not.
Rookie.
I know, right? I was all excited. I was like, yeah, I got this. I got all this. And no, I don't.
Yeah, he was talking. I texted him this morning at 7 o'clock. He's talking shit at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. So I've got The Origins of the Cornbread Mafia by Joe Keith Bickett. And there's also The Cornbread Mafia, The Outlaws of Central Kentucky. Like I said, the book by James Higdon. And then there is Cornbread Mafia, The Quest for Freedom. And that is by Joe Keith Bickett. He wrote that while he was in jail. But I mean, there's a lot of books on them. It's just crazy to think about because when you think of Kentucky, you think of like bourbon, you think of Jack Daniels, you think that's what you think of in Kentucky, and you don't think of weed. That's not one thing you think of out of Kentucky, and they did amazing. Like listening to the book, dude, the way they had some of that stuff handled, like the barns that they had. And when some of the police officers would walk into the barns, like there would just be weed hanging everywhere. There'd be piles of old shears that were so gummed up with resin that there's nothing they could do. Like insane, dude. And I'm just sitting here like, God damn it.
Before anybody calls Steve out about what he just said, we do know that Jack Daniels is out of Lynchburg, Tennessee, not Kentucky.
My fault.
Because I know at least
Well,
one
everybody.
person who listens to this will know, and he will text me and be like, "You know that's wrong, right?" I'm like, yes.
Yeah. My fault, everybody.
It's not. It'd be my little brother.
My fault.
Jake listens to these episodes the day they come out, and he usually texts me that afternoon. Like when we were talking about the name changes, when I got home from work, I looked at my phone. He was like, "What do you change the name to?" Still working on it.
I don't know. I like Dead Men Tell Tales.
I thought you didn't like it.
You have yours is Dead Men Did Shit.
That's better. Because not all these are tales. Some of these are facts.
Well, a tale is a fact. Yeah, prove it wrong.
So you're telling me that the Japanese samurai tales of them fighting dragons could be true?
It could be.
No, absolutely not. First of all, no.
Hey, you never know. Anyhow, so I mean, definitely, I think that's what we're gonna either Dead Men Did Shit or Dead Men Tell Tales. Maybe we'll hold some kind of thing where a shoot off or something. I don't know.
A shoot off.
I don't know. Maybe we'll each line up at 100 yards and see who hits closer to the bullseye.
We'll FaceTime. We'll FaceTime, right? Because obviously that we're separated by a few states, and we'll set targets out. And the first person to miss going back increments of 25 loses.
Okay.
Be prepared.
What are we using?
I don't give a shit what you use. I can tell you that I would not use like a Red Ryder pellet gun.
Oh, no.
Because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend the pistol either, because what you start with is what you better finish with.
I got 12 gauge.
Oh, you're cooked.
How am I cooked?
My coyote rifle goes to 450.
Dude, I love them bitches. And you didn't say we have to be a specific on the target. You just said we need to hit the target.
It's going to be like a 12-inch pie plate. So
I love it.
If you can lob a slug in there, you go
Yeah,
for
dude,
it.
like fucking pirates in this bitch. Boom.
Steve
Fire the blunderbuss, baby.
He cranks up an old wooden window and pushes a cannon out. I got this, man. You ain't going to know if I hit the plate, but it's going to be gone.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Nothing was said about grenades.
Oh, Jesus.
Grenade to slingshot, baby.
Oh, my God. I have a lot of fun shooting my wrist rockets. I still play with those things all the time. You go to like the craft store or whatever and get like a bag of 500 marbles. Just tear some shit up.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so that's the Cornbread Mafia. Obviously, if you guys are interested in it, grab those books. They are fucking amazing books. It definitely piqued my interest. I've always been a fan of the Mary Jane, and reading this, I was just like, God damn, I fucked up in my 20s. I'm not saying I would have went to this scale, but I fucked up in the 20s. Either way, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I enjoyed it. I'm probably as we go here, I'm gonna get more and more in depth into the stuff. And like I said, I'll do like one will be the half-hour episode that we do here, just to give like a synopsis, so to speak, of it. But I'll do a deeper one.
I'm surprised with like given your infatuation with like mafia history, you didn't do like Al Capone's moonshine and stuff during Prohibition, or like Perry Martin for Mississippi.
Dude, at the end of the day, Al Capone was in power for like, it was like 5 years, 6 years. He wasn't in power very long.
True. And don't listen to
His
this.
reign of power, it is. So he wasn't actually in the mafia, but when you think mafia, that's the first thing most people think of. Oh, Al Capone. He wasn't in the mafia. He was never a sworn made man. But
he was just really big during Prohibition.
Yeah, to a point. Like he helped take over the rackets and the booze joints from all the other people. Like he brought them all under one roof. But he also stuck his neck out there a lot. Like everyone knew who he was. Like when baseball players line up to have you sign their shit, that's an issue when it comes to that life. Like you're not to be known. And then the violence, dude. He was so fucking violent.
Gotta love it. That's how you had to do stuff back then, though. I mean, because even now today, like a lot of law enforcement is corrupt as shit. Back then, it was equally as corrupt. And you had like the pastor leaving the church on Sunday and then going to the still Sunday afternoon. Like everybody was trying to.
The podcast, the one that I'm listening to right now, the Sit Down Crime History podcast with Jeff Nadeau. He made the best thing to date. Like when it comes to corruption, when you are a cop, and we'll say today, okay, you're a beat cop, right? You make, we'll say $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, okay. And someone comes up to you and is like, "Hey, man, I'll give you $1,000 a week to not come down this street at this time every week." Right there is $52,000 on top of your $30,000 you're making. Like at that point, it draws in morals. It's based off your moral character.
I don't
like. Are you a strong person? Now, if you come at them cheap, like, "Hey, man, look, I'll give you $20 every week if you turn your head. I hope and pray to God they throw you on the fucking hood and tell you, you punk bitch, you're going to jail because you're going to get robbed anyway." Like, that's moral. That's immoral. That's what I'm saying. Like, and at the end of the day, dude, so you look back, even today's age, like, you got cops who got 4 kids, 2, 3 kids, 4 kids off of a $30,000 salary. You ain't living on that.
True.
But fucking Jose over here, who just moved in down on the block, Mr. Officer, don't come around here from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock every Wednesday. I'll give you an extra $1,000 every week. That's
then they got you by the nuts, though.
Huh?
I said, then they got you by the nuts. They'll take pictures of you.
That's where your moral character comes into play.
That's true. I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of fucked up stuff going on, like with the police departments and stuff. There's one in Detroit. It's at the 6th precinct. It was like 2 years ago. They retired like 9 officers because they found out they were part of various hate groups.
Yeah.
And they were just like, yeah, we're not gonna. But I want to say that they gave half of them kind of snitched, and they got retired with like a pension or something.
Yeah. Well, that's how the police department beats any rap coming back to them when it comes to why the fuck did you not do a better background check on your officers? Like, I mean, you can look at that, dude. Look at The Wire. The Wire is a prime example of that. The HBO show, fantastic fucking show. But like, the corruption that's in there, dude, it goes from police the whole way up. Like, it's insane.
What is that other show? Mayor of Kingstown. It's kind of like that.
Like, dude, I love The Wire. But like Jeff Nadu, dude, that sit down, he interviews, he goes over a couple crooked cops that were working for the mafia, the gun trace task force guy from Baltimore. He talks with a couple DEA agents. Like he's a great. I love listening to it, dude. My dad and I listened to it today when we went to pick up a 4-wheeler, and like my dad looked, he was like, "You fucking listen to this all day?" I'm like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'd fucking go insane." I'm like, "Well, I learned a lot from it." But other than that, obviously, I hope everybody, like I said, we hope you guys had a great week. Next week is going to be John's true crime. Correct, as long as he doesn't forget his notebook.
Correct.
So I will. Either way, I'll be prepared for what's next on ours, which is going to be, I guess, I guess it would be the conspiracy theory or the cryptid, unless we want to do something else.
No, I think we're on track.
All right. Means I get to look up another cryptid. Ooh la la.
Are you going to focus on one out of Pennsylvania this time, or are you going to travel?
There is only one in Pennsylvania.
Some of them travel out of West Virginia into the mountains.
I'm going to travel.
If you need inspiration for it, just go to Hulu and type in like any of those like Bigfoot hunters.
Yeah.
There's a group of like 70-year-old men that I watch sometimes. They go from like West Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Tennessee. They stay in like that area. They're all in their 70s. And in the middle of the night, they're out there with like green headlamps, fucking like Remington 7mm rifles, prancing through people's fields. They got this one dude that they hire, and he welds cages to catch the underwater ones. And you watch him weld the cage, and if you watch it really close, you'll notice that like 3 of the bars, he'll just put like a real quick tack weld on, and then they'll lower the cage in the water, and they're like, "Oh my God, the cage is moving. Look at the buoy. It's going crazy. We got him. And they pull it up, and like 3 bars are missing. We lost him. He broke free. No. The pickup truck you used to pull that cage out, you yanked those bars off of.
Somebody in a scuba suit underneath fucking broke them.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's what they do, because they do it in like the middle of the night. So it's like, oh, look at the buoy. It's going crazy. Meanwhile, there's like freaking oxygen tank bubbles coming up, and you're like, hey, what's going on over here?
Yeah. Either that or the camera guy's just standing there shaking the camera. It's going nuts, and it's just perfectly still.
Yeah, it's the camera. It's like that weatherman they caught, like, what was it? The one in Louisiana like 2 or 3 years ago, where he was like leaning forward, acting like he couldn't walk, and then there was like an old man that just kind of nonchalantly walked past him in the background. They're like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on back there?
My favorite was the one where the weatherman looked like he was up to his fucking waist in water, and like people walked by and it was like ankle deep.
Yeah, he was standing in a ditch.
Yeah. Yeah, it was either he was standing in a ditch or like he was like kneeling down. But either way, it was.
I seen that one.
Yeah, they just walked by him and looked down at him and just kept walking, and I'm like,
I think that was in like Florida. I think my question was, the cameraman had to be in the ditch too, or he lowered the tripod down so it was even with the guy, because when the dude walked in the background, you only seen like up to like his waist.
Yeah,
and they were like,
yeah, and then it like panned out and it showed the whole view, and I'm just like, I'd probably quit my job.
Oh, 100%. I'd be like, you know what? This is the day I retire.
Yep, you'd never see me again.
But
all right, everybody, we're gonna hop up here. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know what your thoughts are. Please hit us with them likes, subscribes, shares, comments, and rates. Also, hit
and follows.
Yes, hit those social medias. The YouTube, like I said, I'm getting that started probably this week. We might debating on what I want to do. If I want to do like some indigenous leaders, or if I want to do some pirate folk. Haven't figured it out yet, but we'll cover one of them. It'll come to me tonight or tomorrow. So look for this episode to be probably published up Wednesday or Thursday, and the mini YouTube episode to probably be around that same time. So until next week, y'all, peace.
See you guys next week.